Hey guys, welcome.
Oh,
How's it going? You will, if you haven't noticed already, you can look at your screen now and you can find out. Unless you're blind, then you can't look at your screen, and I apologize. Um, anyways, that
just
today,
look at it in Braille.
yeah, just look at it in braille. Just put your hand on the screen and feel it. You'll feel my brother's face and my face. Um, we don't have our normal setup today because Joe's not with us. He's currently spending time with some family. But with us today is my family. We have my brother, who is, I think, over here. Yeah, I got the direction right. This is my brother Kyle. And so he's going to join us for Don't Worry Wednesday.
Joe is looking older today. Well, I'm sure he'll be happy to hear
Yeah, it's the beard.
that.
It's the beard. See, if you shaved your beard, Kyle, you wouldn't look as old. If I shave my beard, I look like I'm 10. So, um, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. Kyle is in fact younger than Joe, but I'm I'm sure Joe will be pleased to hear that. um, but yeah, yeah. Instead of the bald, you get Kyle. You get the seabald. That's right.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what we're dealing with today. We still have Princess with us, so the show will be ran. The show will run just fine. It just will look a little bit different, and we don't have the chat, and that's all right. So that being that, um, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming to the show, and we hope you have a great night. Bye bye. No, this is Don't Worry Wednesday. You guys know this show. This show is where we talk about whatever's on your mind, whatever is troubling you. You know, we just want to be a friend. We aren't professional psychologists, psychiatrists, or psychoanalytists, if that's a thing, or anything along those lines. We are just here to help you on your way. You know, we've lived lives, me and my brother, we lived similar lives, but, you know, we have different takes on things, so hopefully we can give different perspectives that will help. My brother's a lot smarter than I am, so you will find that out pretty quickly as the stream goes on. And I'm looking forward to hearing the wisdom that he has to share with you guys today. But yeah, if you have any topics for us, feel free to put them in the chat, send them to our website, or send them to our email if you want to remain anonymous. And that's currently listed on the chat, but that's bss.studio or dww@bss.studio for the email. I think that covers it.
Wow, thank you.
Cool. I think we did it. So how you guys doing today? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. It was thanks for reminding me to show up
Yeah.
because I'm so smart, like you said, I just totally forgot. So
Well, yeah, I know. It's you got so much on your mind that, you know,
yeah,
even
it's
little
just it
stupid
was
things
yeah, it
like
was
this
just
don't even
yeah. Yeah.
render.
No, but no, I'm happy to be here. I hope obviously Joe's not here for his reasons, and so you got me, and I'm sorry about that. You just have to deal with it.
You just have to deal with it. You know, you can leave.
There's a number of ways to deal with that. You could leave. You could punch me if you can find me. I'm in like a storage room, as you can see.
Yeah.
So there's your clip.
Here's your clue.
Um,
I'm in a storage room. There are only, you know, millions of those. Won't take
so,
long to find you.
yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
But how
Uh,
about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm doing fantastic. Today's a good day. I had to set up the stream before we started, and this is basically as far as I got. It was giving me complications, but I managed to get us on the video, so I'm happy about that. And I got a starting screen, and I might even have an ending screen, but don't count on it. So this is what we have. But yeah, so what do we say we just jump right into things, huh?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So I'm going to go run down this list real quick of the topics we have gotten previously. And if you are here, please let us know by putting any kind of comment in the chat. And we will, that way we can see your name and know that you're here. So we have Ian Lam, Pear, Lil McGee, who is also, what'd you say, Princess? Little Lily?
Little Lily.
Okay, cool. So Lil McGee or Little Lily? Little Lily. All right. Ezekiel Games, Plowen, Dracon, Lord Francium, Kendra, LG, and Meow. if you're here, let us know. I see we've got some people here, but you guys don't have topics. Hey, Jeff, the Rocks PS4. Hey, what's up, man? I don't know. Have you been here before? This is a new name for me, I think. Jeff the Rocks. Jeff the Rock PS4. Are you joining us on your PlayStation 4? Because if you are, that would be pretty impressive. Oh, Umbreon. Okay, cool. Do I talk to you on Skype sometimes? Or not Skype, I mean Discord. Is this the same Umbreon? Meow, awesome, Meow's here. Cool, well, Meow, you're the first person to respond, so why don't we do yours? All right.
And Umbreon, you didn't have a topic, correct? I just wanted to make sure that the "I'm here" wasn't "I'm
Yeah,
here"
that's
for a
actually a
topic.
good point. Yeah, do you have another name that you go by, just in case? Yep, the destroyer. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I talked to you on Discord then. Cool. Um, yeah, no problem, Meow. Joe is currently with his family, so joining us today is Kyle, as you recognized. So, perfect. I guess it says it in the bottom left because it's a Zoom call. Awesome. All right, so this is from Meow. Feel free to click on the link if you want to read along. That Princess put in the chat for us. It's titled Dreams, Ambitions, and Determination. And Princess will do the honors of reading it for us.
There are things that I've been planning and wanting to do, but they just stay as thoughts in my head. These include the dreams and the ambitions that I have, which I feel passionate about. My problem is that I hesitate to start, and once I do start, I struggle to keep with it. How does one have a strong willpower and determination and get past the worry of making sure that they do things perfectly? How does one get past the hesitation and just do things? How does one stick with something and work towards their dreams? Thanks, Meowlido.
Yeah, fantastic, Miyamoto, and thank you so much. I think this is very relevant to many of us in our lives. I think this is something that we all have to encounter and deal with. I just used two Ds and deal with. That was weird. Apparently, I have a slight stutter today. And you know, it's a great topic to start out with. I think this is great. So, you know, I have to do this as well. You know, even if you know, I have the opportunity to do what I want to do for a living, it's still a struggle to do all of the projects and keep with it and making sure that I'm getting things done and not being too worried about the perfection quality of it, so that things can move forward, right? And so it's a great topic, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what Kyle has to say. So I'm going to give it to him, and we can all enjoy the wisdom he might have to share with us.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Habit. I think habit is my one word answer. Is that all we're doing today, right?
Yeah, just one word
one word?
answers. Thank you for that.
Just one word. Okay.
No, that wasn't the deal, bro. You don't get paid enough to do just one word. No, wait. What?
Wait, what?
That's right.
No, you know, this is a difficult thing. I think everybody, I mean, I know I deal with this. I think everybody does to a degree. But I think a key is habit, you know, is making sure that we're doing things consistently, right? And habits, there's two kinds of habits, bad habits and good habits, right? And bad habits come automatically, and good habits are hard to make. And so, you know, this is something, if it's something you want to do as a dream, right? That's a good habit. So it's not natural for it to just happen, right? It does have to become a habit. And there's only one way to create a habit, a good habit, and that's to just force yourself to do it enough until you just start doing it automatically or automagically, as I like
Nice.
to say. Because eventually it is sort of magical, right? If you become, I don't know how many people make their bed. I'm like not in the habit of making my bed. However, I used to be forced to make my bed every day. And then it was a habit and I didn't think about it anymore because I had to do it. And it was just something automatically. Now making your bed is a lot like, you know, I don't have a dream for that or a passion for it. but if I can
Fair.
create a habit out of that, I ought to be able to create a habit of something I enjoy doing or want to get done. So I think, some of it is going to be like that. But the other part of it is even getting started. Like, how do you start? Because sometimes you can look at this big thing you want to do. And the biggest part of it is, like, what do I do first? Right. And just take a step. I mean, I was just talking to my son about this the other day with some of his schoolwork. Just to him, he thought it was this massive thing that was going to take too long, but it wasn't. It was like 10 minutes. But to him and his where he was at, it just felt like this was enormous, right? But it was, right, he had to write some sentences, so it was, but it's just like start writing, you know and that's the same thing with whatever your passions are. Just start and you'll be having a good time doing it because you'll be doing and moving towards what you love. I think you'll find that you just keep going. um you just have to, but I think it's really just about taking that first step. Every big thing starts with one step, and that's it. Just take the step, do it. Don't wait. Actually, if you want to leave right now and start, like, I wouldn't even be offended. Just skip out on the rest of this conversation because now you're moving. And that's what we want. So go for it. Get out of here.
Bye. Have a good one, meow.
And then do it every day. Start every morning thinking about it and keep moving. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's kind of basically along the same lines of what I would say. A lot of it is just taking the steps. Just you have something to do, and you're like, it looks big, and it can be daunting, and it can just fill your mind with all of these thoughts that cloud your vision and make it so you can't even move forward. And the best thing to do is just go, well, all I can do is one thing right now, so I'm just going to start doing that one thing. And then it's like building Legos. To build Legos, you have to start with what? A Lego piece. And then you put another Lego piece on it. And another Lego piece on it. And eventually you build a house or a dragon or whatever you want to build. It's always just one step at a time, no matter what it is. It's always one objective, then the next objective, then the next objective. And just like Kyle said, yeah, creating habits is the best thing you can do for yourself. And it's kind of silly, but I didn't recognize that we can build habits in our lives until I was like probably in high school, and we can take our time to do things that are outside our comfort zone so that we can eventually make habits of doing those things naturally. And this is one of those things. You have ambitions, you have things that you're passionate about, and you want to do them maybe for a living or maybe just to see how they go, for a hobby. Either way, all you can do is just start. And you start wherever you can. There are things that you might not know how to do yet, and that's okay. Start where you can. And those things you don't know how to do, start trying them. Start researching them. Start doing it. And eventually, as you accomplish one thing and the next thing and the next thing, you'll get some momentum, and it won't feel like the ambition is so large that you can't accomplish it or tackle it or whatever. And so, yeah, I agree 100% with Kyle. This is the best way to do it. As for looking at things and worrying about their quality, sometimes we really get stuck. I know a lot of people do, including myself from time to time, at looking at something and going, okay, I could tweak that and make this better. Okay, then I could do this and make it better. And then I can do this and make it better. And it's just always one thing after another, and you're striving for perfection. And you eventually come to realize that you can't have perfection, but what you have is still not good enough. A lot of times you always, when we have this illusion of, hey, it could be better, it could be better, it could be better, and we keep on making tweaks and changes to whatever we're working on, it comes to a point where, like, we're not going to be satisfied. We're not ever going to be satisfied with it, almost. Or we spend too much time trying to get it to a point where we're satisfied that it feels like we've wasted time, essentially. There's, I think, a lot of people in the world, especially people who are certain personality types. They strive for perfection. And it slows them down rather than speeding them up, And it's interesting because there's a healthy mix. We should strive for perfection. We should want things to be good. In fact, people who are really hard on themselves in this category, who want things to be perfect, tend to be really good at their craft. They tend to be really strict with themselves, and because they know it looks bad, they don't do what's bad, and they generally make what's good. There's a lot of people out there who don't have this problem as well. I said there's a lot in both categories because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who don't strive for perfection, and they think that what they're making is really good, and you look at it and you're like, that might not be as high quality as you might think it is, and so it can put us off. So it is good to look at your stuff and be able to discern whether it's of high quality or not. It's a great and valuable thing to be able to do that. People who can't do that need to learn how to do that. And people who overdo that need to set themselves back a little bit. So there's like a balance to strive for. The best way I can describe that balance is to think about this. And I've said this before on stream before, but when I'm working on something and I start to recognize the time that I can put into this project to make it better, right? The time I put into it, am I reaping more value out of that time to make it a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better? Am I reaping more value out of that than doing something else? What am I getting the most value out of? If I'm making little tiny tweaks to something and it's just getting slightly better, and I start to recognize, you know what? The listener isn't even going to know I made these changes. They just sound better to me, but it's all an opinion anyways, right? So there really is no best. There's no concrete better. My song is to a point where people, if they listen to it, they would enjoy it. It's not perfect. I can make a lot of changes to it, especially in the mix or in the mastering, or I can make a lot of changes to it by taking away some instruments, adding some new melodies, etc., right? But is that worth my time when I could start a new project, right? When I could start on something new, what is most valuable, right? Already, like if I can confirm that already people are going to enjoy this, then I should just move on because I can create more things that people can enjoy rather than spending all of my time and effort on one thing and making it just so slightly more enjoyable that they won't even really notice, So I think if you strive for perfection, I think an important thing to do is look at the cost and say, what's the value of the thing I'm working on compared to just calling it complete and starting something new that also has value? And when the value of something new outweighs the value of the thing you're already working on, then I think at that point it should be very clear and easy for your mind to go, okay, let's go. Let's call this one done. Boom, ship it. Next project. That's the way that I sort of go through that motion of figuring out, how to tame my desire for perfection. Another thing is to look at humanity. Humans aren't perfect. We weren't designed to be perfect. We were designed to be good, right? When God created us, he said, and they are good. Not they are perfect. He never said anything was perfect. The whole thing. He never said anything was perfect. He just said it was good. So we were designed to be good, and that's good enough. If it's good enough for God, it's good enough for me. And so if I look at my work and I go, this is good. Good. Don't need to be perfect. If it's good, it's good. Period. I can move on now, right? So hopefully those two sentiments will help you in figuring out how to navigate the desire for perfection and all of that and that balance. But with that, I'm gonna give it back over to Kyle. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I could just jump off there real quick. I'm kind of a perfectionist. I'm a mathematician, really. I love math, right?
Yeah.
Math's great because I can get a perfect answer pretty much all the time. Like 1+1 is always 2. I know that's perfect math, right?
Sure?
And if 1+1 isn't 2, then someone's being funny. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. That's why I love numbers, right? But when there's a skill involved or something artistic in the real world, right? Because math is all imaginary.
Mm-hmm.
So when we move into the real world, there's absolutely zero things that are perfect. I have done a lot of different projects, and the only time anything's ever been perfect, it was an accident, right? Like I've never attempted something and had it be perfect. It's always like, like I'm really bad at sports, right? But it's always like you just randomly throw the ball and it lands like, in the wastebasket.
Yeah.
Behind you. You weren't even looking, but it was a perfect shot, right? Like that's the only time I've done anything perfect. So but I strive for that, but one of the things is just like it's never going to be, since I know that though, there is a line, right? It's just do a good job without, because you're never going to get it perfect. So, and if you think that you're trying to be perfect, right? If you're a perfectionist, then you're great. Anything you produce is probably going to be more than good enough for anybody, right? But if, on the other hand, like what Ryan was saying, if you're the person who slaps it together and, when you're doing a project and your attitude is good enough for what it's for, okay, step back because that might need some more work.
You might get hurt or you might get someone else hurt.
Am I bothered by the fact there are things that are true but can't be proved? No, that's just a challenge, right? That's just something to try and figure out. I mean, I know some things are impossible to be proved, but that doesn't mean we can't move in that direction. And part of, there's a lot of things, especially like, I want to say theologically, that live in that world. And I love that because that just gives me so much more to think about. I can sit there and wrestle with it for a while. Math problems, most of them come and go pretty quickly. It's the harder stuff that I really like working through, and stuff that are true but can't be proven. Well, and then that's another thing. So how do you know it's true? So that's a fun thing, but that's a different,
that's almost
that's a whole
psychology and more.
No, not well,
not psychology,
okay.
But
have I been on Don't Worry Wednesday before? Yeah, like I was just looking. I think the last time was almost 2 years ago, so it's been quite a while.
Yeah, Joe's been pretty good at making it. I've been pretty good at making it. Every once in a while we can't. And Kyle stepped up this time, and I was happy about that. So, yeah, it's good to see him. Cool. Anything else? I feel like
I think that's. I just wanted to, I mean, I just agree with what you said. I mean, but so it sounds like you've got a lot that you want to do with. You're passionate. I love it. Do it. I want to see what you can do. Like really. I mean, we're over here, all of us over here. I mean, no, it's just me and Ryan right now, but all of us.
Well, Princess is here too.
And Princess, yeah, that's true. That's true. But no, we want you to do awesome, and it sounds like you want to. So do it. I want to see where you go. I want to see what you can do. I'm excited. I'm really excited that you've got that. You would be. I mean, so many people out there, they're passionate about sitting on the couch,
Mm.
You know, I've worked with people all week long. They're so excited for Friday because then they don't have to go to work on Saturday.
Yeah.
And like that's their whole life, right? And that's not what you're doing. So I love that. I want to see you do it, you know. So make it happen.
Yeah. And also, Meow, check out the chat. People have been posting some pretty good stuff in there. So
Mhm.
feel free to read those over. I won't go over all of them because there's a lot of good ones. But yeah, check it out. Hopefully, we've helped quite a bit. I know that it can be stressful at times to take on big projects, including even for myself. And you know what something that Caitlin said is even people who are super confident and planning on tackling a big project will start with a small task or start with a small task. There's always a first paragraph written, a first pencil stroke, a first email sent. And yep, absolutely. I will definitely attest to that. When things are really big and they're just like, wow, how do I even start to accomplish this? And then I just look at the start and go, well, I can do this, so I'll start doing that. Sometimes there's a lot of different starting points and we get to choose from them, which is great. But as long as we start making forward movement, then everything will start to fall in place. We'll have the ball rolling, so to speak. The momentum will carry through to our next step, until the project's done. You're going to hit some bumps in the way. Your boulder's going to stop moving sometimes, and you have to give it another push. And that's just the way big projects go. Sometimes things are going to fall flat, and you have to start over. I've started over on songs many times from scratch. I just gotten to the end of it. I'm I've got a 4-5 minute song, and I'm just this doesn't cut it. And I've tried so many different things. So here's the song, throw it away, new song. I usually keep them. I don't actually put them in the trash, but I just start up a new song because it gets to a point where you're just this isn't going anywhere. I need to start over. I learned some things along the way. That's the thing is as long as you're doing the task, you're learning. You're finding new talents. You're getting better habits, and that's the main point for doing anything, I think, because then we're building up our ability to do even better projects in the future. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, Meow. Fantastic topic here, and I hope that is helpful for you. Let us move on, if you guys are ready, to the next topic.
I was gonna say one more thing, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
The other thing is, for any big project, you also don't have to do them alone. I know sometimes it's been helpful in college for a big project to have a friend mention something and hold you accountable. Hey, have you done this yet?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for everything or any project, but there are times where you can also reach out for others and help you stay on the way of finishing it. So.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Princess. That's absolutely true. We can use our brain and the thing it cares about to our advantage, for sure. If you know that you're a person that feels more inclined to do something because other people are watching you, make sure other people are watching you. Try to do your work where other people are in the room, or you've told people that you're going to do the work and now you actually have to because you don't want to let them down. Even though they don't probably care whether you do it or not, it's your project. Or, like Princess was also saying, you don't have to do a project alone. You can ask people to help you. Some people would be really happy to. And together you'll have a great experience. So, absolutely. Thank you for that, Princess. So, I'm going to run down this list one more time. And if you are here, let us know. And we can do your topic. If you have any topics that you'd like us to talk about, if our last conversation made you think of a topic that you want us to cover, please feel free to put it in the chat or send it to our forums. That's bss.studio. Or you can send us an email at dww@bss.studio. So we've got Ian Lam, Pear, Lil McGee, or Little Lily, Ezekiel Games, Ploin, Dragon, Lord Francium, Kendra, LG, oh, and Little McGee again. So, if you are here, let us know. That way we can do your topic. If you're not here,
Raise your.
entirely possible. Well, yeah. So what'd you do today, Cal?
Oh, research. Today was a research day for me.
Yeah. What were you researching?
Oh, I've got a whole spreadsheet of stuff.
I bet. That's the way it goes. You've got a spreadsheet of things that you need to research.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 4 or 5 different things. I don't know what I can. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what I can share.
That's totally fine.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. That's great. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I didn't do much today because I woke up at 6 p.m. So I ate. But I was up earlier today. I was up. I went to bed at like 10 or 11 a.m.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I got up.
That's when you got up. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got up when I went to bed. The reason I was up so late last night is because I was talking to some artists in Japan and trying to schedule some stuff with them. And
Nice.
yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, last night I ended up helping design a new table for clamping up doors and stuff. So it was
Neat.
an engineering project. It was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. Well, you know what, guys? No one responded, so we can also go over some older topics as Princess is suggesting. So let's probably do that. If you guys, by the way, you guys run this show. If you guys don't have any topics for us, we don't have anything to talk about. So it's kind of up to you guys. But we do have some really old topics that we can go over.
Yeah, feel free to throw something out if you want. Go ahead.
Yeah, anything is fine. Me and Kyle can talk about almost anything. So, yeah. Hey, how's it going? How you guys in chat doing, by the way? So we have, let's see. Do we have good jokes? I don't have any good jokes. I'm the kind of person that makes the joke on the spot. And that's about it.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Dishes.
Dishes who?
This is a very bad joke.
Nice. Twas indeed, but it's all right. It's actually, it made me smile, so that means it's a good joke. I had a good knock knock joke the other day, but now I've forgotten it. So, I guess we could do Sev Levs, which is inspiration and creativity, but it's probably very similar to the last topic we did. We've got SK getting into university, Aquapika music, Jesse because everybody makes mistakes, Convulcan turning one's emotions numb, conversation skills, and gift to the world.
We do have one from Caitlin.
Oh, Caitlin, we've got one from Caitlin. Awesome.
It's just in the works, so we'll have to give it a minute.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure it might take a few posts.
Well, while you're working on it, we'll cover one of these. We're gonna do conversation skills because that one sounds interesting to me.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and you know my brother has learned a lot in this, so that's actually why I'm picking this.
I'm here to learn on this. So.
Oh no, you're gonna do great, dude. You're gonna do great. I want to.
Oh man. All right.
See, because you come from a point of view that's different from mine, like super different from mine. So that's why I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay. Let's do it.
Cool. Thank you.
Let's try to have a conversation. See how it goes.
Yeah. Good luck. So this is from Random. It's titled Conversational Skills, and Princess, whenever she is ready, she can read it for us.
I have been struggling for a long time on how to figure out how to converse with both new people and people I know. I seem to have completely lost my conversational skill over 2 years ago. I can greet them, but I don't know how to make it fun and a respectful conversation. I can now converse with people better, but I still think this topic is worth covering, especially if it's people I want to talk about, because I think that they're an amazing person. I don't have anything I actually have to discuss in specific, so I'll just drop the idea. Also, especially with these kinds of people, their first impression of me used to be annoying, even though I got a friend who is like that and told me this. Because of this, I'm even more hesitant to unnecessarily make use of their valuable time. Those amazing people are often really hardworking and really good at what they do because of how they've dedicated to that and their lives. And because of how dedicated they are, I can plainly see how busy they are, so I don't want to disturb them with nothing in specific to talk about. I just want to ask them, what did you do to get here? I want the complete long story with all the little details, including how your mind changed and developed during the process. From Random.
Nice. That's a good topic. It's funny. I swear Random's been with us a few times, but I guess he hasn't been on the show for a long while.
Well, it's hard because they're from India.
That's right.
So the time zones just doesn't work out very well.
Yeah, I remember sending Random. I actually remember signing their stuff to send it to him when we had when I was signing books and stuff. So it was really cool to see his name. And I was like, oh gosh, it's great. So and then I saw his real name, and it was definitely not a name that I've ever seen before. It was great, but I liked it. So yeah, this is a good topic. Conversational skills are important. Sometimes the best thing you can do is not speak at all. And not saying like when you have something bad to say, don't say anything at all, right? Not just that, but more so, a lot of times a good conversationalist is someone who is able to listen, not someone who's able to talk. Many times we kind of get those ideas construed, like, oh wow, he's a really good conversationalist, is actually a compliment you tend to give someone who doesn't speak a lot rather than someone who does. A really good speaker is someone who speaks a lot, but a really good conversationalist is someone who can continue and carry on the conversation with a sense of joy and without feeling like it's dragging on or whatever. Someone who can make the conversation feel enjoyable. And a lot of times that comes down to listening, but it also comes down to asking the right questions and a lot of other nuance. So I'm interested to see what Kyle has to share about conversational skills and how to improve in the category, especially.
Boy, okay. Not a good conversationalist as far as what people would normally define. And it's interesting. I kind of relate with this quite a bit. With that worrying about maybe taking somebody's valuable time if I don't feel like I have anything important to talk about. And just talking about weird nonsense is I don't want to waste anybody's time. So I understand that, and I've always felt that way. So that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But I think you answered your own question without realizing it, or this person that they're not here. Because you said, or they said, I just want to ask them, what did you do to get here? Right? Okay, ask them. People are generally going to want to tell that story. If they're proud of where they are, they're going to want to tell that story because it's theirs. Right? Like here, but I'm going to actually, let's do this. Let's demonstrate. Hey, Ryan.
I don't want to talk to you right now. Just kidding.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry.
Oh man, I'm sorry. You must be having a rough day. I tell you what, I'll call you back at a better time. All right. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later. Right. Okay.
Okay. No, sorry.
No, but I mean that's how you would handle it, right?
Yeah.
You don't know, like that's not like he wasn't maybe he hates me, or maybe he was having a bad day.
That's true. Yeah, maybe just
You know,
busy or having a
it,
bad day.
he really could have been like maybe somebody just got hit by a car and he was on his way to go take care of something, right? Like, so it was rushed. It was a rushed response, and it didn't mean anything to me because I realized that I don't have all the information, right?
Hmm.
Okay,
It's a
let's
great way
try.
to say it.
Let
Yeah.
let's try that again.
Let's try it again. Go for it.
I forgot the question I asked you.
I.
No, yeah, I didn't even ask you a question yet. My goodness. Hey, hey, Ryan.
Hey, what's up?
Okay, now I see you've got these things behind you. Can you tell me about those things behind you? Those owl things. What's up with those?
The plushies?
Yeah, let's go with those.
I don't know. I when I was a kid and always growing up, I thought that these fluffy things were cool. I don't know. I just think that the idea of like a ball of fluff and then you have like a little face on it. It's cute. It's enjoyable. It gives me a sense of joy to see them. Um, they don't have a whole lot of meaning behind them, but this one was bought by Princess, and she gifted it to me. This one
Really?
was from my mom, and this one here is a plush that will be selling soon, and it's of the Tsundere girl, and she's awesome. This one is Detective. You can already buy them on our website if you would like. Promotion time. But yeah, there you go. And then I got a little owl family, so that's that.
Yeah.
He's doing.
So did you say you had those two made?
What?
Those, you had the two that you made? Are they your designs?
Kind of. Yeah, in a way. This one is a character design. I didn't exactly make the character design. It was made by a girl.
Really?
Yeah, it was made by a girl named Kat. And then the doll was then remade in a 2D image by Rainey, and then it was shipped off to the company. And you helped me, Kyle, so you know the story. you did all the processing of talking to the company to get the doll made and all of that. And the same thing for this one was made entirely by Rainey for the design, and then we shipped that off to the doll factory. What's the name of that business? Do you remember?
Adorable World.
Adorable World, yes, Adorable World, and they made these, and they gave us like samples over and over, showing us videos of them and stuff like that until we were like, yeah, this is perfect.
Really? So why did you decide to make them?
For the fans.
Okay.
Because it's cool. I figured, Joe came up with the idea of doing this one, but having a plush. I like plushies, so I figured a lot of other people like
Right.
plushies, and yeah, that's that.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, demonstration over. Asking questions, something kind of personal, not too personal if you don't know them that well.
Mm-hmm.
And keep asking questions. Ask several, just keep going with it. But I listened the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good conversation. When you when you care about somebody, you have a desire to know them, to be with them, and to understand them. When someone feels cared about, it's because somebody is interested in them on a personal level. And that's basically how you have not just conversations, but meaningful conversations, right? There's a lot of people who can go up and talk about nothing and waste a bunch of time, which is great, and that's fun sometimes, and that's okay. That's totally fine. Don't worry about wasting someone's time. If you are, they'll let you know or they'll leave, right? But ask questions, listen, pay attention. Don't worry about what to say next, because whoever you're talking to is going to do all the work. All you have to do is ask a question. So that's it, I don't know. There, okay.
Yeah. Is that what you
What do
got?
you think? That's what I think.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I really like the second to last comment you made. if you are listening to them, don't spend and don't waste your time trying to figure out what question you need to ask next. Let your curiosity just carry you. So you shouldn't be spending if you're in a conversation with someone, one of the best things to do is ask questions. Of course, there comes to a point in the conversation where neither of you are asking questions anymore. You're both just telling short stories, right? And that's great. It usually develops over the time and course of a relationship with someone. But when you're starting up a friendship, a lot of times questions is how you do it, right? Or comments that are sincere, like, hey, I noticed this about you and I thought that was really awesome. And then, instead of just stopping there, what you can do is you can add on to it and say, how did you get there? What did you do to, obtain that talent or whatever? And people, they might be shy about it, but any response you can get of them is good. Here's the thing. If you compliment someone and you ask them about how they got there, that's going to make them feel insanely good, right? And the thing is, when we think about all of our friends, right? The people that we're closest to, the people that we call friends, it's the people we enjoy our time around, right? The thing is, those are the people that make us feel best about ourselves, right? All in all, think about the people that are your best friends. Those are the people that make you feel the best about yourself, about who you are, right? You feel good about yourself when you're around them. Those are good friends. So, and I've said it so many times before, but when it comes to dealing with people, what matters most is not what you look like to them. What matters most is what they look like to themselves, right? So if you can make them feel good about themselves, compliment them, show them what's good about them, especially by asking certain questions, that will make for an easy friendship, right? Because they're going to feel good about themselves, and there's no better feeling than that. And then they're going to want to be around you because they want to feel good about themselves, right? But when you're trying to have a conversation with that person, right? Compliments are good. Having high respect for that person is good. And I think respect is a very key component in conversations, right? Even if you don't know the person, try to respect them, because that respect will emanate through your conversation, and it will allow you to enter into the conversation in a way that helps the conversation blossom. If you don't have respect for someone, right? If you absolutely have no respect for someone and you try to have a conversation with them, your brain will get in the way of you having a good conversation, and your feelings will show in your body language and the way that you speak and the questions you ask. If you don't respect someone, you might ask questions that are trying to nitpick at them rather than trying to boost them, right? So having respect for someone, maybe you don't know them, but just assume respect to some degree, right? Just say, here's an individual, they're a human being, they've lived up to this point, and they have good qualities. I might not know what all those good qualities are, but I'm going to figure them out. Have enough respect to give someone that, right? And then open up that conversation with, just as Kyle was saying, if you can tell yourself, like, hey, I love this person. Maybe you don't know them, but if you say, I love this person in the sense that I want the best for them and they're a human being and I want to know more about them, right? That is a great place to start. Now all you have to do is talk to them, because that attitude will drive your conversation forward in a helpful way. Kyle's example is great. You ask them questions like, hey, what is this? What is that? How did you get there? Blah, blah, blah. Don't be thinking about yourself when you're doing that. See, the key is to think about them. They'll listen to them very carefully and what they have to say and think about them. Because that will create the atmosphere for a good conversation. It will create the respect needed for a good conversation. If you are over worried about what you look like when you're having a conversation, it will make you unable to listen, unable to focus on them and see the great things that they're saying so that you can really weigh in on them. it will distract you from your ability to have a conversation. So if you are worried about what you look like when you're having a conversation with someone, that is a huge, basically like a wall in the way between you and that person. If you want to connect with someone, then don't try to connect with yourself while you're having a conversation. If you want to connect with someone, then you got to put that wall down and connect with that person on the other side, right? I think we all build up these walls. And the more walls what we build, the denser and harder it is to have a real conversation with someone. You want a great conversation with someone? I bet you can have an awesome conversation with someone. Come out of it, maybe only a few words were said, but you had a great conversation if you just did this one thing. Look at them in the eyes when you talk to them. I know that's really hard. I know that can be really hard, is to look at somebody in the eyes when you're having a conversation with them. But looking at someone in the eyes shows them, first of all, it forces you to look at them and hear them. And it's a little uncomfortable, right? Because it's like you're revealing yourself to them. You're showing them your eyes. It takes a lot of courage. It takes self-respect. But if you can master the art of looking someone in the eyes when you're talking to them, not only will they feel respected, but you will start to respect yourself. Because you're doing a habit that you really should be doing all along. You're doing something that makes you proud of yourself. And in doing that, you can stop focusing so much on yourself. And again, you can start focusing more and more on them. And the better you can focus on them in the conversation, the better the conversation is going to go. Even if it's short and simple, it will feel a lot better than going into a conversation worrying about yourself, worrying about what you look like, worrying about things that you might say next, or worrying about topics that they might bring up and you don't know how to talk about them, or worrying about all sorts of different stuff, right? If you're trying to have a conversation with someone, then you need to connect with that someone, right? So putting yourself behind is important. But that takes some self-esteem, some self-respect. And the best way to start doing that is to force yourself to do things that build up your pride, that build up how proud you are of yourself, that build up satisfaction in yourself. So if you're someone who's not good at conversation, start looking at people in the eyes when you're talking to them. You're going to be proud of yourself when you do it. You're like, dang, I did it. That was crazy. I can't believe I did that. That was weird. They didn't look at me once. That's what you're going to find a lot. Because this world has got a lot of people who are worried about what they look like, and they're not trying to connect with other people, or they're trying to, but they just don't know how. So most people don't look at other people in the eyes when they talk. But if you can be someone who does, the other person will feel your gaze, and they will feel like they matter to you. And to have a good conversation, I think that would be really good, is to make the other person feel like they matter to you, because then they're going to be more open to share what they have to say. But yeah. Oh, hey Jerry, where's Joe at? Joe is with his family right now, and so stepping in is my brother Kyle. Speaking of him, Hal, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No,
Okay.
not really. I mean, don't be fooled by fake conversations.
Okay.
You know, I guess I can add that. It's not the same thing, but like, you see a lot of people who look like they're having a good conversation, and they're just two people talking at each other, and neither one is hearing what the other one is saying. Right? But they're both like laughing and stuff. It's funny. If you watch, you'll see this all the time. Okay? Don't get confused. That's not what you want to do. That's just how you have a lot of people, and they have no idea what, that's not it. So don't shoot for that.
Yeah. Caitlin says, back to the eyes topic, I choose not to look at people in the eyes because I know it helps me have a better conversation. That's totally fair. I totally understand that. I think that sometimes, like, when I'm talking to someone, my eyes wander everywhere. I will always return back to them, especially when they're speaking. But when I'm trying to speak, when I'm communicating, my eyes go everywhere. right? And I think that's just natural body language. You know, when we're trying to think of the next thing to say, our eyes gaze. And when we're trying to, you know, figure out the best way to explain something, our eyes change positions. If we're feeling down about something, we might, you know, our eyes are going to change based on our body language. And I think that's very normal. And my point is, it's okay that your eyes aren't going to be locked on them the whole time, but to make some
Oh yeah, no,
eye
that's
contact.
creepy.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
You
You don't
don't-
want to be like stuck there.
Right. You don't want exactly. You don't. That would be unnatural. You don't want to. You don't want to just stare at them while you're having the conversation. Like, I know people who have done this to me, and I'm like, okay, that's just how they are. That's fine, but it is super weird to me because I've not experienced that many times. The thing that you want to do is to be able to look at their eyes, right? To be able to look them in the eyes, not just throughout the entire conversation, but throughout the conversation, to hold the conversation and to let them know that you are listening and that you care about the things that they have to say. So I think that you have a great point, and it's a good addition to the topic. So yeah. When you look at someone's eyes, you usually can't pay attention to they're saying, "Your eyes are so beautiful." Sorry, I missed everything you said. You could tell them that.
You could. It might work well.
Yeah, it might work in your favor. You know? Anyways. Yeah, that's what we got. So, Princess, did you have anything you want to add to that? Princess is good at conversations.
Well, the one thing that I know about creating a conversation that keeps flowing is trying to figure out a topic you can bring up that will light their eyes up.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes kind of a lot of guesswork, especially for people who are more introverted than extroverted. If there's an extroverted person, you could talk about the weather and you could probably get something that you can then lead to something else about the weather. Like if you talk about the weather, then you could talk about the grass. If it's like spring, you could talk about pollen, you know, or you could talk about flowers because that's related to pollen, you know, and then you might be able to talk about trees. And if you talk about trees, you could talk about leaves, or you could talk about fall if they don't like spring, or, you know, if they say that they don't like the current, you know, season, talk about, well, what is your favorite season then, you know, and take whatever answers they throw at you and try and find something in there that you can be like connecting to another point.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And you also bring up another point for people who are introverted. It can be very difficult. What drives people into conversations is very determined by their personality type. Like, my brother, he likes numbers. You know, he's a mathematician. You know, he likes numbers. He likes facts. He likes data. He likes to talk about intricate things that require study or research. And so when I talk with him, it's easy to find and talk about those subjects because I know him, and it's easy to converse about him with logical things like, hey, what's the next step from here? What do you think the plan should be? You know, blah, 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 blah. Those type of things I know I can, as Princess was saying, kind of bring light to his eyes, get his eyes to open, you know, not in a sense of like, oh, now he knows, that kind of opening the eyes, but just excite him, right? To get a rise out of him. And then that conversation will flow naturally because I'm talking about a subject that he is interested in, right? If I went to Kyle about something that it doesn't relate to him very much, it would be hard to hold a conversation. The conversation would go for like 20 seconds or less and then stop. Like, I don't know, it could be weather, for example. It could be trees. It could be leaves. That might not be interesting to him because unless it has something to do with like the logistics of something about that particular season or a particular element of trees, you know, if it's just like, you know, I really enjoy the feeling of sand beneath my feet on the beach, that conversation is not going to go very far.
It's done already.
It's done already. See?
But if instead you knew about Kyle having kids, you might be able to ask, well, what about your kids? What are their favorite seasons? You know, and usually parents enjoy talking about their children.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a guess that I would gander at.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. So, yeah, I think that you're right. And when you're conversing with people, it's good to identify what excites them. And
No,
sorry,
if I could just add something tangentially to this,
yeah, tangent all
some
you want.
people have a some people connect better when there's no conversation. So, like sometimes it can be more meaningful to just sit silently with somebody and just being there. So since there are people like that, just because the conversation might not be happening, that doesn't mean that it's going poorly, right? It could just mean that right now it's just a quiet time, and that's okay.
And that's a very good point, because there's also times where you don't need to create a huge conversation either. Like you don't want to force a conversation. You don't want to be pestering someone in that sort of way of like peppering them with questions that they feel like they must answer, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. In fact, that would, yeah, like at that point, you might just be annoying someone, right? And then you drive the relationship downwards.
But you'll know, right?
But
Because
yeah,
if somebody is annoyed, they'll look like it, and if they're if
yeah,
they're enjoying the conversation, they'll look like it. So
absolutely. If someone's words are very short, it means they aren't interested in the subject. And if they're short, no matter like what you ask, you know they're having a bad day or they just don't want to talk right now, and that's fine. It might not even be that they're having a bad day. Not everyone always wants to have a conversation, even if they're having a fantastic day. I know that I'm one of those people from time to time. You know, I I'm having an awesome day, but doesn't mean I want to just talk. Now there are times where I'm like, yeah, I just want to talk to someone just for fun, because it's a good time. Um, but we all have our times and seasons for enjoying different things, so it's totally normal. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Random. I know that you're not here, but or maybe you are. Maybe you're just lurking. I doubt it. It's probably like 2 a.m., 4 a.m. for you or something like that. Um,
It's probably closer to 7:30 a.m. But
wow. Well, there you go. Yeah, that sounds about right. So,
because
anyways,
it's usually an hour, like it's a flip of the AM PM and then half an hour, something like that. It's something strange, but
fair enough.
anyway, we have
But
some other topics.
okay,
yeah, thanks for the topic.
Meow asks about texting conversations.
Oh,
I don't do those. So,
yeah.
Mine would be very good at talking about those, maybe.
I'm good at
but I
those.
think like the worst thing to do is like text while you're having a conversation with somebody else.
Yeah, I treat my text conversations much like speaking conversations. I keep my amount of text conversations down to one or two. Um,
Yeah.
because when I'm having a conversation with someone, I want to give them my all. If I'm just responding to things here and there, people will know because I'll respond once every like half an hour. But
Hour.
yeah, or hour or 2 hours. But if I'm having a real conversation with someone, then I'll give them all my time and I won't talk to anybody else at the same time. Um, and I enjoy text conversations like that. But
There's one other thing that I would mention.
mm-hmm.
Don't get anxious, and even if you are, don't mention it in a text. Like if you mention like, "Hey, how's your day going?" and someone doesn't respond, you don't want to message, "Hey, are you there?" or sort of things that are like kind of like, "Hey, I messaged you, you aren't responding back." Because you don't know. It could be that they're not at their phone has died, they could be busy with something else. There's all sorts of reasons. And if you add that onto there, it can make it hard for the other person to feel like they can respond, especially if they are more anxious or, something like that. They might feel like, oh, I don't know if I want to talk to this person. They feel like they're going to, like, you know, have something more there
Yeah, that's
than
fair.
just a conversation.
Yep. If you're texting people, don't worry about your response for a couple of days. And if they don't message you back in a couple of days, you can message them again. That's the way I do it, anyways. Because there are times where I see people's comments and I'm like, okay, I can't respond to that right now. The only reason I looked at their comment was because my computer's open, or because I just wanted to make sure it wasn't an emergency. But since it's not an emergency, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, and then I'll get back to them later, right? And so we have to allow other people that excuse, right? We have to allow other people to not have to respond to us just because we called or because we messaged.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Cell phones have changed quite a bit about how we interact with people. It used to be if you were in the room with someone, that's the only person you were in the room with, right? But now we're in the room with anybody who wants to send us a message.
Yeah.
Right. And so if someone like interjects, is actively trying to interject themselves into what I'm doing with the people in the room I'm with, I'm probably going to ignore them for quite a while. Just because, unless it's an emergency, right? That's different. But just because that's not who I'm physically with right now. So yeah, don't get anxious about it. It's just not how, just because that access is there doesn't mean we should treat that access as important. And so it's the same thing for you. Like if you get texts in the middle of things that you're doing, they can wait. They're not, unless it's an emergency. And the people who you're in the room with will appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
If you like I've gotten phone calls and people say, well, aren't you going to answer that? And I'll just say, no, I'm talking to you right now. And people say, oh, wow. Okay. That's cool. And
Yeah.
I think that's a great, and it's good training for yourself to realize so you can easily identify what's important and what's urgent and what to do, so not everything's urgent.
Yeah. No, that's a great habit too. Just like you said, when you say, "Hey, yeah, I got the phone call, but I'll just call him back later." I'm in the call. I'm in the room with you right now. I think that shows the person that you care about them. I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we're talking to someone, they get a phone call, and it's nothing important, or they get a text and they zone out in our conversation that you're having. They're just like, yeah, and you're like, you're not even listening to me, and they're like, yeah, hold on. Okay. Sorry, what? And it's like, we were having a conversation, but you had to stall it to have another conversation with someone else, and it didn't even matter, right? So it is really, really good, good thing to do, for sure. But anyways, thank you guys. Thank you for the topic, and thanks, Kyle and Princess. So we've got one from Caitlin, right?
Yes, we do.
Awesome.
We also potentially have one from Falling Skies.
Oh, Falling Skies as well. Awesome. Well, let's see what we can do. Let's start with Caitlin's. Thank you, Caitlin,
about
so much.
40 minutes left, so
Okay,
I feel like we could probably get to both.
Yeah, we might be able to get to both. So this is from Caitlin. It's titled "Whether to Forgive." Fantastic. And I'm gonna let Princess take it away.
How do you determine whether to forgive someone? I'm dealing with several people who have hurt me in the past, and I know I can move past without forgiving them, but I'm unsure whether I want to. They've hurt me, and I know they never intended to. It's just the result of their own issues and trauma. But I'm struggling to draw the line between understanding where they're coming from and being overly forgiving and letting myself be walked on. From Caitlin.
Ah, yes. That's a fantastic, a really, really good topic. We talk about forgiveness on this show quite a bit. So, if you've caught any of the other ones, you'll probably know where this is going to head. But I think this is a really good and important topic, especially for everybody, no matter who you are, because there's going to be times in our lives where we just have people who hurt us, and it's not okay, right? And we have to figure out, how I'm going to forgive them. How am I going to forgive them? What's the appropriate thing to do? Letting yourself being walked on, I think, is definitely a no-no, right? You don't want that. And so if we can, we hope that we can guide you down the right path for this, because I think it is a very hard path to walk. And the more experience you have, the more, I guess, the more you forgive people, and the more you go on life and get hurt, the better understanding of how to forgive and how to keep on walking forward and how not to be walked on that you have. So hopefully we have some experiences to share that can help you on your walk into your life, because I'll tell you what, throughout your whole life there are going to be people who hurt you, whether they meant to or not. It's just gonna happen. It's just a part of life, and it's okay. It's okay that that's part of life. A lot of times people don't mean to. It's just what they're doing. Like you said, it's either they had their own issues and trauma that they were dealing with, and it just kind of came out as it did, or maybe they're just having a bad day that day and they put it on you. And so there's all sorts of different reasons. It's never okay to hurt someone on purpose for that, but it happens, and we can do it too. So forgiveness is a huge topic. It is super important. So I'm going to give it over to Kyle and see what he's got to say about it, and we'll continue from there.
I think that it's not always easy, but the right answer is always forgive somebody unless they explicitly refuse the forgiveness. If that makes sense. Now, forgiving someone does not mean forgetting. So those two things, I think, sometimes are very conflated. Where just because I forgive somebody for something doesn't mean, okay, let's talk about finances. Okay. It's just a little easier maybe, and I like numbers. But I think it'll make sense. Hopefully this will make sense. So if somebody has a large amount of debt that they owe, and but they just feel like they can't pay it back, so they work out some sort of deal where the debt is forgiven. Maybe they only have to pay back a portion of it, and then they're going to forgive the rest and move on. What generally happens, at least in the United States, is that person will sort of have like a mark on their against their person, their account, right? Which will show that this has happened. So the next time someone were to loan them money, they would know about it. Like, this person wasn't able to pay this back before, and so they might not get the same deal again. They might get a higher interest rate. They might not be able to get the money at all. But they were forgiven. Like, they don't have to pay back the money. Like, that's forgiven. However, the banks don't forget. They're not going to make the same mistake again, right? And it's the same way, I think, when we forgive other people for wrongs that they've done to us. We can forgive them. We can say, hey, I understand you didn't intend to do this. It was an accident, or you didn't realize you were doing this, or you're sorry you realized it, but now you understand that was wrong, right? So we can forgive that. They've hurt me, right? But I can say, look, you don't have to pay that back. There's nothing you can do to repair it anyways. So just, just don't worry about it. We'll move on. But at the same time, if we're in a situation where they can hurt me again like that, now I'm ready for it, right? I don't have to put myself in that situation. I don't have, just because I'm not making them repay me doesn't mean that I have to hang out with them anymore, right? Those are two different things. It's like, I don't have to let them go in debt to me again. I just forgive the debt they've already done, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that.
I think it's a great
If
example.
that sort of made sense. Hopefully that made sense. I just like to separate those. And then as far as determining whether to forgive someone, if they want forgiveness, definitely forgive them. They're trying. If they don't know they need forgiveness, probably forgive them anyway, because they don't know, right? They can't do something they don't know anything of. Like, I don't right now, like I'm in this basement in a storage room, right? If my house is on fire, which I'm sure it's not, but if my house is on fire
Check.
in another room, like I have no way of knowing that right now. I can't do anything about it, and my house is going to keep burning down. Well, my house can't be mad at me because it didn't say anything, right? Um, but when it's all said and done, I won't have a house anymore to burn down. So I guess that's my loss. But so people can't be responsible for what they don't know. So definitely forgive them, even though it might be tough. Right? I think the only exception is if someone refuses, right? If someone intends to hurt you, like if someone walks up to you and like, I don't know, stabs you in the foot, right? Because they think it's hilarious, and you say, I forgive you, and then they say, no, I'm doing it again, and they stab you in the foot again. Like, they don't want forgiveness, they're refusing it. That I think you don't have to forgive them for that. They've already refused. They want to be in debt to you, let them. You can put yourself in debt to somebody all you want. I think, but that's so rare, right? And in most cases, I would call that person insane and not able to make their own decisions. So they should probably be forgiven anyways for not knowing how to think properly. So, it's a very rare. I mean, I'm thinking like on the levels of Satan, like I think that would be, like something on that level where the whole goal is the worst possible outcome for you, and they don't care, and that's what they want. I don't think you forgive that person, because but that's Satan. People can't be as evil as Satan. It's just not possible. It's not.
Some people want to be. I don't understand it. Some people think that's cool.
So, and it's not easy. Like I said at the beginning, right? It's not easy to forgive people. But, and I don't know how much. I mean, this isn't a theology program, but when Jesus was on the cross, he prayed to the Father for everybody's forgiveness. They didn't know what they were doing, right? And I think that we should act the same way. So
Awesome.
That's it. That's what I've got.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, but forgiveness is a mechanic that makes society work. Without forgiveness, humanity is doomed. Not just because of the religious implications of heaven and all of that, but just even in our friendships. You cannot have a friendship if you do not have the ability to forgive. Because at some point or another, someone's going to say something. And if you decide that that thing that they said is unforgivable, even how little it might matter, if you cannot forgive, no friendship will last ever. No relationship between lovers, especially, will last. You get married and you're going to hurt each other, You're going to do things that gets on each other's nerves. And it's not even like, hey, you left your socks out on the ground and they smelled and that was unforgivable. Imagine that's what ruins your whole marriage. You need forgiveness is crucial to humanity and its success in almost all civil affairs. So forgiveness is a blessing. We shouldn't look at forgiveness as like, it's something I have to do because I was told to, or, we should look at forgiveness like, man, this is something that's so cool and so good And like, how could I not? It's so good. You know, if you look at forgiveness like that, I think it becomes more clear that we should, and more clear when to forgive and how fast to forgive if you can. You know, when you look at something, just as Kyle was saying, you know, something is wrong. It would be wrong for you to go, oh, it's okay. Like if someone, Kyle's example, if someone came up to you and stabbed you in the foot on purpose, you wouldn't go, oh, hey, it's okay. Like it's not a problem. No, it is not okay. It is a problem. All right.
And you should probably run very fast.
Yeah, that
if
is.
you can with one foot punctured.
Yeah, you should kick him with your other foot. No, I'm just kidding. So just because we forgive someone doesn't mean we're admitting that what they did was okay, or what they did wasn't wrong, right? What they did was wrong. Wrong is wrong. Evil is evil. It is as it is, right? So we should understand, like, hey, I can forgive them, but it doesn't mean I believe in my heart that what they did was okay in their circumstance. A lot of times we like to go, you know, in their circumstance, it's okay because they blah, 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 blah. The only time that's fair is when we go, in their circumstance, it's okay because they literally didn't know. But if they did something full knowing, like, for example, sometimes we have a bad day, right? Some people have bad days and they get mean. They get mean. And they hurt other people, like on purpose. Because what they're striving for is happiness. And for some reason, their brain tells them that if they act upset, that they're going to find happiness on the other side of it. Well, venting can help, but just in general, it doesn't help. When you're having a bad day and you're acting like it, your day doesn't tend to get better. Your day tends to get worse, right? That's from my experience and the experience of watching many others. However, a lot of times we look at someone and we go, hey, they're just having a bad day, right? And so they said this mean comment, right? Should we forgive them? Yes. Yes, we should. It doesn't mean that their mean comment was justified, right? It's not justified just because they're having a bad day. We've just figured out why they said what they said. It was not that they hated us. It was that they were having a bad day and they were venting, right? And so understanding that isn't why we forgive. Understanding that is simply to understand that they don't hate you. They hate the circumstance that they were in and they acted out in poor manner, right? So when we say, oh, they're just having a bad day, we don't mean to say that justifies their reason. That makes it okay for them to do bad things. What we're saying is they're having a bad day. That's why they acted that way. And it's not because they hate you. It's because they're having a bad day, right? That's ultimately why we say that. That's why we say they're just having a bad day. It's so that you don't take it personally as a personal attack. Because when you don't take it personally, it's a lot easier to go, I forgive you. Because when you take it personally, it's hard to say I forgive you. It's hard to move on because we know that they did it to us on purpose. But when they do it to us on purpose, right? Should we forgive? I think Kyle had some very interesting points, and I think they make sense, right? If they're asking for it, yeah, definitely. If they're not asking for it, they probably need it. So you should give it to them because they need it. But if they're intentionally saying, like, don't you dare forgive me, I will hurt you more, you know, then sure, whatever, dude. You owe me that, you know? I think, as Joe has said many times, forgiveness is more for you than it is for the other person. Repentance is for them more than it is for you. So here's the thing. When someone comes up to you and says, I'm sorry, that's repentance. That's repentance. When they say, hey, I don't ever want to do that again. What I did was wrong, and I don't want to be that kind of person. That's repentance. And that's for them. When someone comes to you and says, I'm sorry, a lot of times in our society, we think we say to that person, hey, I'm sorry, because we want to be forgiven. But that's not accurate. When we go to someone and say, I'm sorry, it's because we're repenting. It's because we genuinely feel like, I wish I hadn't done that and I don't want to do it again. Right? When we forgive someone, it's for ourselves a lot of times. It's so that we aren't eaten alive by our grudges. Okay? When we hold a grudge, we allow that negativity that they acted out towards us, right? They did something mean to us. And now we allow it to fester and stir within our soul and make us angry and anxious and put up walls and saying, no one will ever hurt me again. And we do all of this that hurts us. We end up hurting ourselves more than they even hurt us. They hurt us this little bit, and to avoid it, we put up all these walls and get angry and hold all of this grudge. And we're just hurting ourselves. Forgiveness is that beautiful act where we can go, you know what? Let's clear the stage, not put up walls, and say, if someone wants to hurt me like that again, now I know how to deal with it. Rather than going, oh, I don't want to deal with it ever again, and I'm angry and all of this kind of stuff, and putting up walls and turning down relationships, making ourselves unable to be open to other people because we're afraid of us getting hurt again, right? Instead, if we take when someone hurts us as a chance to grow stronger, right? Whenever we work our muscles out, right, our muscles actually break down and tear, and through that process, when they rebuild, they become stronger, right? And it's the same thing. When someone hurts you, you have that chance to learn from that experience, not just to say, okay, now I know never to trust that person again, but no, to be able to trust yourself even more, that you can get through it. When someone hurts you, I trust in a lot of people. And a lot of people think I am over trusting. Okay? And here's the thing. If someone breaks my trust, first of all, it was my fault for trusting them, right? But second of all, I know I'm okay. Like, someone can break my trust, and here's the thing. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. I can still do the things I want to do in the world. Like, so what? So they broke my trust. That's on them. That's their failure. Okay. Moving on. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, they hurt me and I want to get back at them, right? We don't. I genuinely don't ever want to get back at anybody for hurting me. I take that experience as, that's unfortunate for them, that they went there, that they did that, and that they had to do that. Their soul is suffering. Their mind is slightly askewed. And I feel bad for them, right? And the way that they hurt me, you know what? I'm just going to allow it to build me, make me stronger, give me callous, give me strength, know how to handle things when things go wrong, right? Now, when something goes wrong in that same category, I know where I need to go. I know what I have to do, right? If someone hurts me, I learn these things. And ultimately, I grow as a human being. If I can take a situation where someone hurts me, and instead of breaking off relationships or feeling closed off to the world, if I can open myself up to the world. When someone hurts me, if I can take that chance to open up to the world rather than close myself in, and I don't mean by the way of like complaining out to everybody going, oh, this person did something to me, and I, venting all of that out. I don't mean opening up to the world like that, but I mean opening myself up personally to people, engaging in whatever someone else did something wrong to me, engaging in that similar activity with other people and hoping they don't do the same thing. If I can do that, I build so much strength within myself that even when someone does it to me again, it doesn't even matter, because they're not going to stop me from doing what's good, right? So forgiveness, I would say generally, pretty much the answer is always forgive. But don't let yourself be walked on, and don't walk on yourself. There's a difference between forgiving and allowing other people to be bad people. When we forgive, we're looking at that person with compassion, right? And we say, you know what? I'm not going to hold what you did against you. I'm not going to take what you did and say, you need to pay me back, right? Because a lot of times you can't, right? But I still love you, meaning I still want the best for you. And sometimes that means punishment. Like if you are a parent to a child, you might have already forgiven what the child did. Maybe they took the ketchup bottle and sprayed it across the room, right? That's wrong. They shouldn't do that. And they know better, all right? Let's say they do that. As a parent, you might forgive them immediately, yet you still act out punishment. Why? Not because you're angry, but because you want the best for them, right? Sometimes loving someone does mean pain. In fact, love often associates with pain. So when you're forgiving someone, it doesn't mean that you should be a pushover. When you're forgiving someone, it means you say, like, hey, I'm not going to hold it against myself that you did this to me. I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to let myself be eaten alive by this thing that you did to me. And I don't want you to be either. So I'm going to be a friend, and we're going to talk about this, and we're going to get through it, right? Sometimes that's what forgiveness looks like, having a conversation that's really hard to have, you know? But ultimately, it's making sure that you don't think they owe you anything. Because in the end, they can't pay back what they did anyways. They can't reverse time and undo it, right? So it is what it is. The point of life isn't to try to count all the bad deeds people did to you, right? It'd be better for your life if you counted all the good deeds people did for you, because then your life is going to be moving in the right direction, right? And you're going to more easily do great deeds for other people. So that's really one of the beauties of forgiveness. As for not letting people walk on you, that comes with respect, right? You have to respect yourself. And I know that's something I said earlier too, but self-respect is huge. Just knowing, like, hey, this is wrong. I'm not going to let you do that to me. And just being allowed to say that out loud to them. And recognize that that doesn't, like, you shouldn't put your friendship above your dignity. Them doing something wrong to you because you're friends doesn't mean it's okay. Like, whether they're friends or not, whether you want a happy relationship with them or not, you shouldn't allow them to do bad things that are going to hurt you. You shouldn't let them walk over you. You should stand your ground and say, no, these are the things that I believe in, and I need to uphold these, right? And that's first and foremost. And my friendship is a part of that. My friendships flourish because I have these values. Because I care about you, this friendship flourishes. This friendship doesn't flourish. This friendship isn't awesome because I allow you to walk on me. This friendship is awesome because I respect you and you respect me. This friendship is awesome because of the care that we have for each other. And this violates that. This, what you're trying to do, violates that, and I will not allow you to do it to me. And I wouldn't do it to you, right? So think about it like that, and hopefully you'll find yourself not being walked on by those things. And I've talked for quite a while, but I hope what I said was impactful and it made sense. But yeah, Kyle, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Another tangentially related thing.
Thanks for using that word twice.
Yeah. When we do get to the point where we forgive someone, right? We need to allow room for them to make restitution. Right? So human dignity requires that we can make restitution. If I hurt someone badly and they come to the point where they forgive me, I'm still not going to be fully repaired person if I understand what I did was wrong until I'm allowed to do something, you know. And it's funny. Restitution isn't for the person that I'm giving it to as much as it's for myself. If I do something wrong, I need to offer some form of restitution so that myself can be complete, if that makes sense. Like, so I can feel okay about the situation. If you forgive somebody and you say, no, 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 don't worry about it. And they say, no, 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 I stole $500. I want to give it to you. And you say, no, 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 don't worry about it. Keep it, keep it, keep it. Well, then forever, the person who stole the $500 has no way to resolve that situation. So they're going to feel stuck, right? Internally, even though they've been forgiven, they haven't been able to, so this act of restitution is a necessary part of a proper, repentance. So if somebody does want to turn around and apologize, we need to, if we've forgiven them, we need to let them know we accept the apology, and if they want to do something, let them do it, right? It's the same like what Ryan said with the kid throwing ketchup around the room, right? Like, if they were really sorry about that, it would be appropriate for them to clean it up.
Yeah.
It's not really a punishment. It's so much as it's for them so that they can feel better about having, kind of done the right thing in response.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caitlin says, yeah, it's thanks to both of you. It's tricky because neither of the two situations I'm currently dealing with are conductive to actually talking about what happened. Yeah, sometimes talking isn't, if I'm understanding your sentence correctly, sometimes talking to them isn't what you need to do. In fact, there are many times where you just need to love them from a distance, forgive them from a distance. There are many times a situation happens where it's just like, okay, I'm breaking away from them. I might never see them again my whole life, and that's okay. But I forgive them. I'm not going to hold anything against them. I'm not going to say they owe me something. I'm just going to let it pass. Do I still hurt? I think that many times in our lives, there are things that we've forgiven, but when we think about the scenario, we might feel a bit of pain still. And that doesn't mean we didn't forgive them. Our emotions don't tell us what we did or what we didn't do. We have to keep that in mind. Our emotions are just a response. They're a feeling, right? They're fickle. They come and they go. A lot of times they're not up to us. So it's not whether you feel like you've forgiven someone that determines whether you've forgiven someone. Sometimes it is a feeling. Sometimes you forgive someone and a feeling washes over you. And from now on, whenever you think about that moment, you don't feel sadness. But sometimes you forgive people and your emotions don't necessarily comply. But don't allow yourself to buy into your emotions, if you will. Sometimes your emotions are just, hey, what they did was wrong, and it did hurt, and so it hurts right now. Yeah, absolutely. But I don't hate them, and you know what? I want the best for them, and I've forgiven them. Like, what they did, they don't owe me anything. It's all good. Like, it's fine. Okay. Cool. Sounds like you've got it figured out. Oh, okay. All right. Is the pain? The pain is just something you'll have to deal with. And in life, there are those things. And hopefully we can eventually get to a point where we figure out how to stop that pain, or we figure out how to turn that pain into joy. And I think that many times when it comes to overcoming something like that, an emotional pain that keeps on rising up over something that you've already forgiven, it's figuring out how to turn that pain into a joy. And I know that can be a huge struggle for a lot of people, and it's not easy. But if you can do that, a lot of times that's the solution. It's the act of learning that pain, that suffering, is a beautiful thing in this world. It is a necessary thing, and it is a beautiful thing. We cannot love without it. There's no proof of our love without suffering, right? And, if you're a religious person, if you believe in Jesus Christ, he died on the cross out of love. So he suffered and died for us, is what they say, right? He suffered and died for us as the greatest act of love of all time. So the greatest act of love is to suffer. So when we think about suffering, we think about our suffering. Sometimes it's really emotional, sometimes it's not. But that suffering, we have to understand, like, hey, it's not a bad thing. And so I have forgiven this person, and it's just this feeling. And I need to see if I can take that feeling and shape it into joy. Going, hey, you know what? I got to have that experience. And that was a personal experience that I had, and it has taught me things. And because of that experience, I know what not to do to people, and I know what to do to people. And you take that situation, and it's not about forgiving so much as it is reshaping your perspective of it so that you can feel joy or gratefulness towards that scenario. Because the action can't be forgiven, because the action doesn't hold consciousness, the ability to help you. The person is the only thing you can forgive, right? And so you can forgive the person but still not like the action, right? So it's a matter of reshaping your perspective about that scenario so that you can move on from the pain that the scenario caused, not that the person caused. And I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's helpful. It's a little tricky, but maybe that'll help. He said, "Thanks, Brian. This is really helping me better understand what exactly you mean by forgiveness, and I think it will be super helpful." Awesome. I think I'm realizing that I've already forgiven these people. The rest is a process of reconciling the emotion and the hurt. Absolutely. Kyle, did you have anything on that?
No,
Cool.
I think you got it.
Awesome. Well, cool. I think we have, Princess, do we have time for one more?
It's a little tight
We've
on
got
time.
10
Yeah,
minutes.
like a quick one.
Yeah, what is the next one?
All I got from Falling Skies is I struggle sharing emotions. I try talking to my friends and family, but they ignore me and say I'm weak. They're basing my feelings off of their experiences and don't acknowledge what I've went through.
Okay. We can talk about that. So this one's from Falling Skies, Struggling, Sharing Emotions. Princess is going to read it for us. I'm just kidding.
I'll post a link for you, though, so you all can read it if you would like to.
Yeah.
Silly Ryan.
All right. Yeah. So Falling Skies. I don't know what your name is in the chat.
That was their name in the chat.
Oh, that's the name in the chat. Okay, I just didn't see their messages before. I'm so sorry. Well, okay. Falling Skies. This is a great topic, and hopefully we can do it justice. My brother and I. This is my brother. We aren't overly emotional people. And by overly emotional, I don't mean that people who are emotionally are automatically too much. Overly is a bad use of words. We aren't people who are emotional. There you go. And not in a bad way, because emotions are a good thing. It's good to have strong emotions. We have many different types of people in this world. Princess, for example, is someone who has strong emotions. I am someone who has mild emotions. My brother, I think, is someone who has very weak emotions. And they have their goods and bads, right? Emotions aren't inherently bad. They are inherently good, in fact. But they, just like everything, there needs to be a balance. There needs to be an understanding so we can navigate them correctly and know how to act in reaction to them. We always have to know how to react and act in anything, right? If someone punches us in the face, we need to know how to react to that. If we get into a car accident, we need to know how to react to that. And if we have an emotion of pain or sorrow or disgust, we need to know how to react to that. And so there's a logical side that is important, right? But just as much, emotions compel us on our journey. They compel us to do things. They help us to find joy in the world around us and to experience that joy in a more fulfilling way. And so emotions are a great thing. So struggling with emotions is understandable. It is a tricky thing, and it's not something we have full control of. But there is something called emotional control that we can use to help us on our way. But as you said, you're struggling with talking to friends and family. They ignore your emotions and they say that you're weak, and they're basing their feelings off of they're basing your feelings off of their experiencing, or what they've experienced, and that's not necessarily logical to do that, but that's it. It's understandable that they would. But anyways, Kyle, I'm interested in what you've got about this topic.
Yeah. Quick. I guess if we can get maybe a quick response, are we struggling with specifically sharing too many emotions, or people aren't understanding the emotions that we're trying to convey, or are we not able to convey emotion at all? Like, those are three different ways I see this going. So if we can get a little clarification, I hope.
Yeah, thank you.
While we're waiting, I can tell you just a quick story about me, I guess. In my whole way through school, I had an emotion, right? An expression of emotion, and it was this. This was excitement. I'm happy. I'm mad at you right now. That was funny.
Yeah. That's
and that was it. Like,
that was
literally,
Kyle. That was not
was
joking.
me.
That isn't even an over exaggeration, really.
No, it's not. And actually, I might have been looking too happy there. Like, people would I had people come up to me and say, "Why do you always look like you're about to kill somebody?" It was just like, well, if you ask questions like that, I just might, I don't know.
Because people ask things like that.
So I guess this is something like I trained myself, I suppose, when I was younger, that I suppose I thought that by hiding all of my emotions, I was showing some form of strength, I suppose. However, really, it's just like ultimately hiding, right? I mean, when you think about it, it's really just hiding, and so I don't do that anymore. People like to see someone smile. I like to know. I think it's a little bit of a hint as to what I'm thinking, if there's some kind of emotion going on. And so, but as far as sharing, then I don't know if I'm the best. I still struggle with that, I think. So I don't really have any real good answers on that, except for just, don't be afraid. I think if people are going to misinterpret it, it's just because of their own insecurities, right? If people want to be mad at you for sharing an emotion, or be upset with you, or criticize you for it, they're just afraid of their own emotions. I think in most cases, they don't know how to deal with their own problems. So, I mean, not that you should think down on anybody just because they respond negatively, but just understand, they're not doing it because they really think negative of you. They're thinking negative of you, or they're doing that because they don't know how to deal with the fact that you're doing a better job than they are in a lot of cases. So, okay. Let's see. Did we get any kind of indication of...
No, I haven't seen anything. So I'm wondering if they're with us.
Yeah, they may have taken off.
I don't
they
see.
May be lurking the way.
Sorry.
Or they haven't replied for a while. So.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't even see their name anywhere in the chat.
Okay.
They were there.
I believe you.
Yeah, I know they were there.
In my history, it's not even showing them. So they might not be with us anymore. And if that's the case, that's fine. We could hold the topic.
So, okay. Watch it back.
Yeah, I guess we just keep it kind of. We're trying to be quick with this anyway, right? So, so I guess I'll just walk. I mean, I guess that's the best thing I could tell you. Is if you have emotions to share and it's appropriate time to share them, then go for it. I mean, there's no reason not to. If people think you're weak for showing emotions, that just means that they emotionally can't handle themselves. right? Like most people hide their emotions because they don't know how to deal with them. If you're able to show your emotions, then it's kind of subconsciously showing them that they have to work on it. And people don't like that. So I think just appropriate timing is, but obviously, like if something happens right now and it's an emotional thing right now, now's the right time, you know? Uh, so, yeah.
And it
Yeah.
happens on the other side of the coin too. I have had people walk up to me and say, "Why are you smiling? Wipe the smile off your face."
Hmm.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that was an interesting event. Um, and I'm normally a very happy and a very emotional person, and usually you can see it. Sometimes it's not as visible because I project what I want to be too. Um, but there are also times where people dismiss emotions that you're having, like I've been upset before and I've had someone be like, "You can't have been through the hardships that I've been through," like it's some sort of competition, and they're just not actually like hearing me out. And usually it's because they have their own stuff. But know that emotions just kind of are, and they shouldn't be invalidated just because somebody else doesn't hear them or they don't recognize them or acknowledge them. Like, even if they aren't maybe even the right reaction to the situation, because I've had many times as an emotional person um, that I don't have the right reaction. But if I invalidate my feelings in that reaction and say, "Oh, I'm wrong, I'm horrible for feeling that way," that's not really fair because I'm going to have that. It doesn't mean that I react to the situation based on that emotion that I'm feeling, but it doesn't mean that I should invalidate and say, "Oh, I'm this because I thought or felt this way." Because that doesn't help me. It doesn't build me up. It more often than not breaks me down and makes me feel worse. When there's nothing wrong with having a reaction, because that's human,
Hmm.
for lack of any better terms.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to identify that there are people of different personalities and recognize some people, we all go through things differently. Even if we break each other down into like sharing a personality type, we still go through things differently. You grow up in the same household and you still have different thoughts about the events that occurred and different ways of thinking about them. We are different people and we're always going to have different things. Twins. People will say like twins are so similar, but then again, you really talk about like to the twins and they're like, yeah, we're so different. Like we think about the same event and we imagine them completely differently. And it's like, yeah, of course. So it's important to understand like you're going to have these emotions, right? And they're going to be strong, maybe stronger than other people have, or maybe weaker than other people. And that's fine. Um, here's the thing. It's not wrong to have emotions. If someone says you're weak because you have an emotion, that's a misunderstanding of weakness. In fact, having the emotion and being able to fight through it is stronger than not having the emotion and fighting through it. Right? Because emotions compel us to do things, right? When we're inspired, it's an emotion. Inspiration is an emotion and it compels us to do whatever we're inspired about. When we're fearful, fear is an emotion and it compels us towards the direction of not doing something. When you're a person who has high emotional capacity, when you feel an emotion and you take action against it, or to speak about it, or to do something in spite of it, right? That shows a great deal of strength. That shows more strength than someone who doesn't experience the emotion. Because now you're fighting against yourself, which is the hardest person to fight. So it doesn't show weakness. If they want to call it weakness, then that's their misunderstanding. And you don't have to listen to them. You don't have to go, okay, yeah, I guess I'm weak. They just don't know any better. So you just have to go, okay, maybe don't say it to their face, but just recognize, okay, they don't know any better. They don't recognize what's going on. So I'm just going to I'm not going to give their word weight. I think it's important to recognize when we don't need to give people weight on their words, right? Sometimes our parents are awesome and what they say matters and it makes a difference and we should listen to them. But every once in a while, they might say something out of a misunderstanding. We don't need to give them weight just because they're our parents. We need to give them weight because their intentions are good, or less weight because their intentions are evil, right? That's how we should discern. If we look at someone's words and we give them weight because of how they make us feel, that is not a good scenario, because you end up putting yourself and your happiness and you're putting that on other people. You're allowing them to determine your happiness. That's not good. If you put weight on people's words based on how successful they are, that could be a bad thing, because they might be successful, but they might be successful because they're doing something like scamming people, or they might be successful out of luck. They might be successful because they've tried really hard, but they've really lost all of their relationships doing it. So ultimately, there's times where we need to put weight on people's words, and there's times when we need to not allow their words to have any weight, any bearing to how we feel or how we see the world, or whether they're right or wrong. Ultimately, that's something you have to figure out yourself. But ultimately, I would say that for me, the weight of someone's word is first by their intention. If I can determine that their intention is good, right, I'll give their words more weight. If I can determine that their word is set in truth, that they're trying to speak from experience that is true and real and helpful, that their desire is good, right, more weight to them. If their intentions are bad, if they're lying to me, right, if they've ever lied to me before, etc., their words lose weight. Their words lose effectiveness on me. And so I think that's something we all need to have, so that we can, have discretion and decide for ourselves, and not just allow people to say things and then allow us to go, oh yeah, they think I'm weak. That's terrible, right? Well, no, they think I'm weak. They're an idiot, and that's okay. Hopefully they'll learn. But yeah. I hope that's helpful. I mean, we try to keep it short, so that's where I'm going to stop it. But thank you guys, all of you. Just in case, Kyle, did you have anything you wanted to add or anything?
No, that's great.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. Sorry, Joe wasn't with us today, but we got the pleasure of having Kyle here and his wisdom, and I think that was awesome. Kyle had a lot of unique things to share, and I was happy to have him here. So,
thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Your words of wisdom as well. I love you guys sharing your experiences and your thoughts. It's super helpful, and you guys have great things to say. So, it's the show is about you. And we're really happy to have you here, and I look forward to these Don't Worry Wednesdays, to spend time with you guys, and to be able to do something that is for the good of humanity. And so I hope that you guys continue these conversations as you go out. When you go out into the world and you experience people around you, you can bring up these things that we talk about, or that you guys talk about here, and carry that out into the world, so we can make the world a better place, so we can have people understand each other more, so we don't have people calling people weak when they just don't understand, right? So we don't have so many troubles, or when we have the troubles, we know how to deal with them at the least. But you guys are all awesome, and we appreciate you guys. And yeah, that's all we got. So bye-bye. I accidentally went to the other scene. All right, bye-bye, guys. Much love. Peace.